I'm back. Yeah. I think maybe we all knew that wouldn't last too long. I don't know. Maybe most of you didn't care and moved on and said, all right, cool. But I have more in the tank that I wanted to share. And some of this is extremely selfish and a bit of a cry for help. Not not in a weird, heavy, I shouldn't say weird. Not in like a really heavy emotional way like I'm in despair. There are days and moments I feel that for sure lately, but this is more of a cry for like a more an intercession for a more immediate physical need. And if you're not into hearing that, I understand. However, I also plan to share in this episode a breathing technique I just learned from guess who? Bashar slash Darryl, and it's a way that's allegedly able to put your brain into a gamma state, which is what you have to basically be in to channel. So if you are someone who maybe is sensitive to channeling, this might be a breathing technique that is worth trying for you, just to see, if it works, if it's something that helps you reach a higher state of consciousness. I'm just now trying it out, and I find it to be extremely grounding and centering at the minimum, which is what most of my experiences are with stuff like the gateway experience or something that's meant to kind of propel you beyond your normal frame of consciousness. I'm finding that I don't really ever reach that state of transcending the body. I think there's too much fear and ignorance and anger or something that's holding me back, or just not what I chose to experience when I had this life plan. I'm not really sure, but I do reach a deep state of relaxation, and if I let myself just sink into that moment, it is really blissful. It is really worth it, even though it's tempered with that human need for, the payoff, the certain thing to happen. And for me, I want to have the breakthrough. I want to pop out of my body like some of these people and see entities and interact with spirit guides and, have all these profound experiences. But I also remember when I spoke with Dr. Mary Helen Hensley, I think just this was when we were talking off the podcast, maybe like a year ago. We had a pretty long chat. I was kind of a dick to her about something. I'll be straight up. Like, we were emailing back and forth, and I felt like she was being dismissive with me, and I kind of called her out, and she said, okay, let's talk. So she talked to me for like an hour and a half on a video chat, and it was extremely kind of her and showed me so much about who she really is, that she could have just taken it as, okay, this guy's being a dick, see ya. But no, she spent the time to talk to me and shared a lot of really interesting stuff about past lives. And one of those past lives, I was in the Catholic order of some kind with a high priest in the Catholic Church. Or don't ask me how Catholicism works, because honestly, I don't. I've intentionally blocked it from my mind to even learn about the hierarchy, because I just don't care about it. I just don't care about man-made religious hierarchies, I'll be honest, even if you say that's ignorant. But in this lifetime, I was allegedly able to see, when a person passed from this life, I was able to see their soul heading towards their families in the spirit realm. And I couldn't say anything to anybody about it, because I would have been deemed a heretic or whatever, because I saw people that were allegedly going to hell going to a happy place. So Mary said I was very connected to that ability in that life, but I was also stifled by all these other factors. So maybe in this life, because I have the freedom to not be shackled to a religious institution. I mean, I was for 37 years, but I had the whole time the freedom to break away. But like in that last lifetime, I'm sure the stigma was so oppressive to me of leaving it that was what kept me in it. So while I yearn for that same kind of ability, to know that I've had it in a past life means that it's not about a shortcoming on my part. It's not something I did wrong. It's just what I chose for the dynamics of different experiences. I think I heard somewhere in an NDE that, their interaction on the other side of this life was that faith was somehow a really big deal on that side. Like, just having faith that there's going to be better things that we can create, and that we are more than just these human bodies. And that's great. I'm like, okay, I hope that happens, man, because god damn have I had so much faith in this life for so many different things, and it's so easy to feel so fucking disappointed about, when it just doesn't really materialize, and you just go, what am I supposed to do with this? Like, and so that, a big part of my ride is just going through a lot of like extreme poles still. I still swing from really dark and angry to just really optimistic and joyful. And maybe you could probably analyze that as bipolar in some way. Bipolar to me is fucking normal as an idea. We are swinging between two poles pretty wildly in this earth plane. We have extremes to choose from at all times, and it's very easy to give in to either energy. And I think I identify with past lifetimes where I was fighting back, and I was pissed, and I was tired of the boot on my throat telling me what to do, because I knew deep down that I'm more than this, and I'm not oppressed by anything. I'm free to do whatever I please. So to come into this life and feel that deep oppression, it wounds a part of our soul that is expansive and free, the part that is the entire part of our soul that is always expansive and free. So it's been I used to listen to too many random comedy podcasts, and every time somebody would say it's been something whatever, someone would chime in with the Bare Naked Ladies song. It's been 1 week since you looked at me. I'm not going to do Chickadee China, the Chinese chicken. I'm very sorry for that reference in the middle of this. Why do I apologize? Because, again, I struggle with wanting so bad for people to think of me a certain way. But, God, have I let that go in huge ways. Just living in isolation. I haven't worked. I haven't been out socially. And I've been dealing with all these weird health problems, which is kind of the reason I made this episode, but I didn't want it to be just like a long, detailed list of my health problems. I'll make that part short. But, and on top of that, we have just society on the brink of either collapse or revolution or who knows what. And the earth is churning. There are mega quakes and volcanoes that haven't erupted in 100 years popping off, and just a ton of activity with geomagnetic storms and fault line stuff waking up, a lot of earthquake swarms and super volcanoes even in Mount Rainier and off the coast of California and Oregon, Yellowstone. I think it's getting pretty nutty. But allegedly, according to Yeshua, according to a lot of other sensitives and channels and intuitives, this is the earth shifting as well. This is the earth finally stepping into her fullness and to her awakened self. And it will support only a dynamic range that is within basically love. So it's not that evil will be destroyed, sent to, all the bad stuff's going to hell. It's that the earth will no longer be a plane that supports those frequencies. If those souls need to have more of those experiences, they're more than welcome to in other places that are within that frequency range, the lower ranges of frequency. That's all it is. We look at this every day, and I do too, as this great darkness and evil and wickedness, and not in a sin way, like, again, judgment and hell, but just like to see people slaughter women and children and to brag about it, and just genocide after genocide, slaughter after slaughter, Sudan, Gaza, all through Africa. I mean, there's horrific North Korea. There's humanitarian crises everywhere. Obviously, Ukraine, Russia. I mean, you all know. There's a lot going on. There's a ton of unrest. And it either looks like we're about to end it all and go over the cliff of destruction, or we're about to hit a major inflection point where there's a massive split, but not in the old way, where we're now at war with each other. And it is hard to hold that faith, man. Like every day I just think, is this really going to happen? Or am I just like waiting until it's at my doorstep and I have to make that awful choice of which way am I going to take myself out, you know? Because I have those thoughts. People can say, you know, don't think that way or don't, but it's like, dude, I literally don't control what pops into my head. If you try to sit there and plan your thoughts, let me know how that goes. And I'm not trying to be flippant with that, but seriously, like sit there and try to control your thoughts and see how possible it is. Now, I understand that there are many who can get into deep states of meditation where you can become almost thoughtless. You can let go of the incessant stream. I've been there with the gateway experience. But then, man, the way my mind works, I can get there for a few minutes and then before I know it, I'm thinking about 30 different things at once and going, what the fuck, dude? Chill out. And I keep hearing in Yeshua channelings and like Course in Miracles and all this other stuff that silence is the key. That you meet God, you meet yourself, your higher self in silence when you just are letting go of all of the plans and thoughts. And I'm like, what's that like? That must be nice. I've tried real hard for that, but haven't figured it out yet. So I'll get back to you when I achieve true silence of mind and body. I have gotten close. But let me real quick just cover the ground of kind of why I made this episode. It's sort of an SOS / call for help. I several months ago, I was using an aloe plant in my yard, cut off a piece, you know, sliced off the top side of the, I don't know what you call the little appendages, and tried to you just like scrape the gel out of the middle and put it on my tongue. I didn't wash the freaking plant like I should have, and I think I scraped probably some of the outside skin into the gel, which contains latex. And that night I had a very upset stomach, and at first I just thought it was dinner. I was like, what the hell? Then I realized, oh yeah, there's latex in aloe, and latex is not good to ingest. It'll do exactly what was going on with me. Ever since then, I have had these explosive pains all throughout my stomach and chest, and I basically have to like massage it, and then I just start burping. So it's like, you know, of all the digestive things, it's honestly not the worst, because I've had persistent stomach pain where things are going on, you know, the other direction, and that's a lot worse. But I can't even eat like basic stuff without it. I don't even know what food to eat right now because all of it makes me have this explosive, like gas, sharp pain all throughout my chest and stomach. Otherwise, digestively, like things are pretty normal. So it's a very weird, anomalous thing. And I don't know if it's a parasite I ingested on the plant. I don't think latex poisoning would persist for months and months. But, you know, and I'm sure a lot of you are like, well, go see a doctor. Well, I am in America. And if you're an American, you know the struggle. Especially not having a job for 2 years and my wife having left her job recently. We both don't have jobs. We both don't have health insurance. Costs are skyrocketing. I don't even know if this is serious enough to go to an urgent care with, because it's like, oh, you're burping a lot. Here, take some Tums. You know, it'll probably be some lame-ass suggestion, and I won't get the help I need because it's probably, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I have reached out to a doctor I used to use who's kind of like a pay-by-the-month non-insurance doctor. I'm hoping he might be able to help me. And I'm going to see this alternative medicine chiropractor who does like not just the typical like rack 'em and crack 'em chiropractics, which have really not served me well in the past. And I honestly swore I'd never see a chiropractor again, but this guy is doing a lot of different stuff with laser treatments and other alternative treatments and also functional medicine stuff. And he just had a good energy about him. So I was like, I'm going to give him a try, go into that tomorrow. But I'm kind of feeling desperate. I'm kind of feeling like my body is turning on me and that I'm not going to make it to this, you know, shift in consciousness and this open contact where Bashar says one of the first technologies to be unveiled will be resonant frequency healing technologies, basically revolutionizing medical healing through sound and vibration, which many have already known is the key. but we're not harnessing it potently enough currently, just with like, listening to, say, the tones that are supposed to match your chakras, like those, the solfeggio frequencies. I think they're great to listen to. For me, they're not healing my body the way that I need. And no matter how much faith I have that I am in my natural state healed and perfect and fine, and then I can manifest all things through my intent or whatever, I also have to accept that maybe I chose a specific experience to have in limitation as this human, and one of them is having all these setbacks physically, which have honestly been the case since I was born. This is lifelong stuff with either stomach, headaches, muscle pain, joint pain, crooked back, and right now my hips are completely out of alignment. My back and neck pain are out of control. I have like sharp pains and numbness throughout the left side of my body because of how misaligned things are and how many nerves are getting pinched. And I'm trying to do a lot of yoga and walking, and it's not really doing it. I've had dark days where I just am like, God, either just let me die quickly, please, take me soon, or let me find something to alleviate the worst of these discomforts, because it's crippling, man. The headaches that I have every day cause me to take so much Advil and Tylenol that I'm sure that is causing a lot of problems with my liver and digestion, but I don't have an option. It's either that or I have such debilitating headaches that I would probably need narcotic pain drugs to alleviate it, or I would become suicidal, because it is that uncomfortable and just pervasive, just a crushing vice grip feeling around the temples of your head all day long. And the pressure just feels like it increases the more you don't take anything. So if I just skip Advil, it's like the vice just keeps tightening. So I've had that for 17 or 18 years, those headaches. And again, I apologize if you were not in for medical details. I said I would make it short, and that's always a joke with me because I never know how to do that. I always feel like I need to give precise information so you know exactly what's going on, so you can make an informed meditation or intent for my healing or whatever it is. But that's what I'm asking for. I'm asking for you, the listener, as a sensitive, as an intuitive, because you wouldn't be listening to this or the Yeshua channelings or anything else like that if you didn't connect with it in some way, which means you are a light worker, you are an empath, you have your own natural healing intuition and abilities. And so I know that I have everything within me to heal myself, but I also know that we are stronger when we work together, when we, implore the unity consciousness that is what we are. So I have no problem asking for help and saying, here I am in pain, confused, obviously missing some steps, help. If you can help, help. If you can't, don't worry about it. Just send some positive thoughts. Just send your intent that I find the answers, because I am feeling desperate and I want my body to work so that I can be more effective to help other people. Like this is truly my heart. And I think I should make that super clear about all of this. And I think that's part of the problem as well, because like Yeshua said in the channelings, we're here to basically save ourselves, discover ourselves. We're not here to save and fix other people, but we do that by extension of discovering ourselves. Okay, well, I feel like I've discovered myself, but there's this missing piece where obviously I haven't let go of something, judgment or fear about my past, or that hurt the child that is the fear center of me. Like if I see it like Yeshua told me as a small child whose hand I can take and assure them, then it's not so scary, right? Fear is just this scared little child and all the manifestations of his mind. So I can embrace that rather than run from it, be freaked out by it. So yeah, I'm good with embracing my fear and my inner child and all those good things, but it feels like I'm being held back so much from being able to help other people in a way that would be really fulfilling to a part of me that I can't explain. That is just innately a drive that I think goes beyond the guilt of the Christian upbringing I had or any of the programming. I think there's just a drive deep in me to want to help other people, because I see so many other people believing that they're worthless, believing the things I did about myself, that that in and of themselves they are no good. They don't deserve anything better. And God, that what a horrific message we have propagated through the years through various means, not one religion or the other, all just so many different points of messaging. We have driven home how worthless we are and how we need to stack up to the standard. And the messaging that you set the standard and you're the one who decides is seen as narcissistic and delusional and self-aggrandizing and all these things. We've been taught to shame ourselves for recognizing our self-worth and our value. And there is an out-of-balance way you can do that. There is narcissism where you just become self-indulgent in a way that you see yourself as superior than others, and that's very different than being self-actualized and saying, I recognize my divinity and innate worth, but I also recognize it in others. To me, that's the key difference between those two, is recognizing it in others versus only seeing it in yourself. And it's so easy to just be like, oh, yeah. Oh, I am the shit. And everyone else is a hater or a troll or whatever. But that's always a self-defense to me for insecurity. I mean, we all have deep-seated insecurities because we were raised in a world that prizes us on pointing those out in each other, or society pointing them out, or advertising honing in on the things that we lack that they can complete in us. And we just subconsciously buy into so much of it. And I think we are reaching a critical point where things are turning and people are recognizing that their choices matter and that they have to stop making unconscious choices and finally own their autonomy. And that really starts, though, with self-actualization, with seeing yourself as worthy, divine, not in need of forgiveness. Maybe forgiveness from people you've wronged. You don't need it, but it would certainly help your journey to find healing and love. But you're not on a soul level or a spirit level in need of forgiveness or shaming or fixing. Again, we're playing a friggin' video game here. Like, we are dreaming this experience and we are taking on an avatar and we are moving through this journey in a way that is far more authentic than any VR game we have here. So even me feeling all of these physical pains and ailments and feeling freaked out about it, yes, I have moments of darkness where I'm just like, I hate this. I want to die. But then I quickly think, well, but this is all not truly me. This is not actually happening. So what am I trying to learn from this? What is this experience trying to teach me? And I think that's a lot more of a healthy way for myself to frame it is, what is this trying to teach me versus why is this happening to me, dude? What did I do? Because that's a victim mentality. I did something to deserve this. And I believed that for most of my life. I believed all of my aches and pains were self-inflicted and well-deserved. Truly. Because I thought that was what made Christ happy, was to make myself worthless at his feet. That was what I was taught. You are worthless without him. See yourself as a wretched sinner and your action. But then once you're a Christian, you're supposed to be in the spirit, right? But you still sin. But you're not a slave to it, but anyway. Plus the psychology of expecting Armageddon at any moment. It takes a lot to come back from that. So I'm being patient with myself and I'm forgiving myself for regressing. And especially with anger. Because, man, I pick up my daughters from school every day and it can take either an hour or it can take 2 hours plus. And there are multiple times where, just in one given week, multiple times where there are super close calls where people nearly hit me or pull out in front of me and stop, or yesterday a semi-truck just casually slowed down very quickly and slowly got over onto a narrow shoulder while we were trying to merge onto a 70-mile-an-hour freeway, and a bunch of cars didn't see it, and I saw somebody coming up behind me about to slam into me at 70 or 60 miles an hour with my daughters in the car, and I had to make a very quick decision to swerve to the right into the shoulder so they didn't plow into the back of me, and they saw me enough to swerve to the left right before they hit me. I think they would have hit me, though, for sure. And, that stuff sends me over the friggin' edge. Like, in that moment, I caught myself pretty quickly because I had to drive on the freeway and focus. But the last time something like that happened, I started crying and I just became so angry. And my poor daughter had to see the whole thing. And then we're trying to teach her to drive. And so she's apprehensive because she sees how absolutely crazy it is around here. I mean, I live near the third busiest port in the country, and there are nothing but diesel trucks and insane drivers. So it's a terrible combination. People are always trying to go super fast, giant jacked up trucks everywhere, or like super fast coupes that everyone wants to try and be, weaving in and out of traffic with all the time. So it feels like a suicide run every time. It feels like a very high risk, low to medium reward situation. And the logical part of me, the empathic part of me is just like, this is fundamentally insane. I do not prefer this in any way, shape, or form. It is hard for me not to say I hate this because I really feel that. But yet, we have to take my kids to school. They have to learn, and I do value education. I just think that the school system is breaking down like every other system, whether intentionally or not. And so if you've been paying attention, you know that we're on shaky ground with the way things have been. And that seems scary, but I am choosing to believe that it is the ripe opportunity for those of us who see a future that is centered on love to take the lead and to not be afraid of the cowardice of hatred and divisiveness and othering and villainizing and recycling actual Nazi lines and propaganda. We've done this before time and time again. It's tired, it's gross, it's stupid, it's the worst of us. And we absolutely have a choice to do better. But the people who are pulling these levers of power, it doesn't take much psychoanalyzing to see how deeply broken and unhappy they are and how something bad happened to them growing up. Or they were given a very, very skewed version of how the world operates and told that only those on the top are a certain race or class or financial status. And we have got to do better. We always can do better. We always have a choice. But I know there's a lot of other dynamics at play, and people can talk about archons and all the, heavy energy here that pushes us towards these dark choices all the time. And I do see that. And I do believe that has been a part of this experience. We came to Earth for friggin' contrast, big time, in our bodies, in our minds, in our emotional bodies, in our souls. I mean, our souls do still carry the experiences, positive and negative. I don't know. I used to believe in this whole concept of the atonement from Course in Miracles, and I'm just starting to kind of think Course in Miracles is a little more of it's in Bibleese, and it's kind of got biblical concepts that I don't see really repeated in these channelings or NDEs so much. Like, I don't hear about the atonement and all these kinds of things where like all the negative experiences are kind of like washed away. I don't know if we would want that, would we? Like, wouldn't we want to have those negative experiences available for us to reference, to have that perspective intact? Or else why did we even do this if we're just going to forget about all of it? So, there's a lot of things I've been wrestling with about concepts I've even spewed on this podcast. I've talked about the atonement on here early in this podcast because I was all jacked up on Course in Miracles, and I was like, this is pretty cool because I can understand the Bibleese talk. But then I realized, again, there's a lot of messages of expansive love. I mean, plenty in there about, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. Therein lies the peace of God. Like, that's beautiful. I love that. That's perfect. There's so many messages throughout it that are perfectly in line with other channelings I've been listening to about how love is the only real thing and everything else is just part of the experience. But, again, concepts like the atonement and stuff like that, they start to feel a little too similar to the Bible, where our sins are washed away. I don't know if we want our negative experiences to be washed away. I think we want to have perspective on them, which I think we get in our life reviews, but I don't believe that we create things to erase them either. So I don't know. Don't ask me how it works. I haven't been there recently enough. I was going to say, I don't know, but I do know. I just don't have access to that knowing. It's so weird to say stuff like that. But I'd love to put that out there in a social situation to really, really throw someone off sometimes. They're like, what? Oh, yeah. I'll be talking about, Yeshua within 5 minutes of chatting with you. That's actually a problem for me. Probably the reason isolation is necessary for me at this time to maybe reevaluate how I interact with people casually. That being said, I also wanted to go over this breathing technique before I close this out. And this was something that I just came across on YouTube. I will try and find the video and put the link in the description of this video. But it's basically Bashar teaching the breathing technique that Darryl uses to reach the gamma state of the brain to be able to channel Bashar. And it involves focusing on first alternating breathing in through your mouth, then you close your mouth and continue the breath through your nose. And if you have the room, you can do another mouth open and then mouth closed nostril inhale during the same breath. So I'll try and give a audible demonstration. So you're really kind of breathing in fairly heavy from the mouth, then to the nose, mouth, nose. You don't have to alternate back and forth. You can do it just through the mouth and then through the nose. I apologize. I have persistent allergies, so these aren't the best ASMR breaths. All right, no more editorializing. Just listen for the breath. So here's what happens when you keep playing with that. Basically, you keep practicing mouth open, then closed with nostrils, inhaling in the same breath until you get the feeling for what it's like to inhale through your nose with your throat open. Sounds weird, right? It actually sounds exactly like when you're snoring, I figured out, when you draw the breath basically correctly by opening your throat. So a normal inhale with your nose sounds like this, right? But when you do the different breathing technique, it sounds more like this. So if you've ever heard Darryl channel Bashar, he breathes like that before Bashar comes through. So it's about basically getting a large amount of oxygen into his body in a really efficient way. And you're essentially just opening up your throat as you breathe in through your nose. So you're kind of just trying to use the sensation you just had of opening your mouth and breathing through your throat, but doing that through your nose. So that the breath changes from a basic inhale to a really like audible one that sounds almost like a snore. That was a little violent, but yeah, that's all through the nose, that aggressive sound. So practice that, try it, do it for, as long as you can, 5-10 minutes, I don't know. See if you get any kind of result, any sort of relaxation, or maybe a feeling of sharing some company with another entity. I don't know. Maybe a channel comes through. Who knows? Maybe this is part of how we unlock our channeling states as things begin to evolve consciously. And I do believe we are in a rapid state of that. So things have to break down first. There has to be destruction before creation on this plane. And it's not hard to see how America is absolutely nosediving its standing in the world, its reputation. We are destroying our goodwill with allies while playing nice with dictators and strongmen. And it's not going to end well for the power structure of this country. But this has also been predicted by plenty, that America will fall as a superpower, but the people will find this whole new gear of unity, empathy, love, and will rebuild things in a way that is completely different from how they have been. However, I also believe we'll receive a lot of direct assistance for this. And part of that is the consciousness lift. Part of that is non-human intervention, not to save us, but to more overtly provide us with technologies that can rapidly change the quality of our lives. So people like me who are just stuck in pain and on loops with pain medications and dysfunction and discomfort can finally step out of that and actually be in the world the way they wanted to be, and to help other people and also to help themselves by just the joy of interacting with other unique souls. Because that's truly what I want. Yeshua told me this. I desire connection with everyone so much. And that's such a reason why I've been so disconnected lately, because I have to let go of a codependency on that. Yes, that's how we are naturally, but I also don't have to think that way as a human, that I need to be, in good standing with every single person in my life. It's just not feasible, and it's setting yourself up for disappointment. So I'm learning a lot. I'm truly learning a lot. The last episode I put out was honestly a clusterfuck, if you listen to it. So thank you for listening to it. I tried to listen to it again to see if I had maybe dropped some nuggets of gold, but it was more like well, I'm not going to say. So hopefully this one was a little less pessimistic and disjointed, but I'm sure it's disjointed. I mean, I covered several different things here. My body breaking down and breathing techniques and commentary on society. And so, but yes, if you would like to put any intent out there for my healing, much appreciated. If you have any direct connections with people who, maybe offer a video call or something where, there's somebody that is really kind of dialed in on this. I hate to say this because this sounds really picky, but I'm kind of not looking for like amateurs who are in that field. I want to find people who are really grounded and connected to their power. I think that's important for me, to find authenticity. I have kind of had some experiences with the people that I think were working against themselves a bit, and I don't want to get into why I think that or details about the experience, but just, very particular ask here. But if you do know anybody who is an intuitive healer who can offer services over a video call or whatever, unless they're in Southeast Georgia, I would love to have more experiences with just giving those things a try with an open heart and open mind. But it does seem like, given my history, I'm not the easiest case to crack. And I've told somebody that recently, and they said, well, when that belief about yourself shifts, then you'll experience healing. I'm like, okay, but which comes first, the belief or the experience? Because I've had 43 years of experience of, consistent pain and regression in my body, and it's like I've had a few little glimmers of hope in there, but most of it's been marked by a lot of pain and dysfunction and discomfort. And it's like, is it a false belief to believe that these things are happening, and then I have a consistent pattern of dysfunction, and that most doctors I see aren't able to figure out my problems? Because that's just the facts of it. That's just the actual experience I've had. So when people are telling me that's like a belief system I have about it, I'm like, wait a second, I don't have to believe it. It's the facts. It's the pattern. Now I'm fully willing for that pattern to change and to shift. I do not accept that pattern as who I am, or that I am a sick person, but it's been what I've chosen to experience. So trying to run from it and put my head in the sand and act like, oh, it's just my beliefs that are creating all these problems, that doesn't really seem rooted in the reality of it to me, because my heart and mind is not set on experiencing pain or self-flagellation anymore. I used to be that way, but I have shifted dramatically in my mind. It's just the body hasn't quite followed yet. So I'm sure there's something rattling around in there I need to address that I haven't. Probably a psychedelic breakthrough journey would assist with that, but that's not even really feasible right now where I live either. Again, it's seeking things out right now is really not possible with the way my body is operating. I can't even go out to a restaurant. I can't do like social things really. I'm truly just like living hermit life and not even really being that active. So it is hard not to get like kind of depressed. But you can hear a little optimism in my voice, I hope. I still have a weird, dumb faith for a future where, kind of like Pauline was talking about, and I'm finally reading Age of Aquarius, Pauline. Don't hate me. I'm such a bad, slow reader. I'm so sorry. But it's so good, because it really is so far setting up, setting the stage for me of what we're walking into, where things feel like they're going backwards, where it feels like humanity is about to hit a major regression point. And you see it all around, right? But I think that's right when the lift comes, and it coincides perfectly. And either we're no longer bound to astrology at that point, or the astrology of Aquarius creates simplicity as a background for us, and we make our lives far more simple. We don't have all the clutter of social media and advertising and healthcare tied to employment, all these insane radical ideas. We'll live in a world that values safety, peace, harmony, love above all things. And again, I see it as a coinciding of events, that this stepping back on the zodiac, or things maybe looking like they could regress, is actually going to be to our benefit. And that these old systems are breaking down, and that is part of it. And I am fully ready for simplicity. Like, my wife and I both just fantasize about moving somewhere where we have land and can grow things, and space between houses. I don't have 3 neighbors' houses within 10 feet of my house. It's a little more. It's like 15 feet. It's a great house, but man, is it like in a cluster right now, and just things are getting so busy around here. Anyway, we long for a much simpler life, and people probably listening are like, well, dude, why don't you go? You're the one talking about, following your excitement or whatever in Bashar's formula. Like, yes, absolutely. But I also have 2 children who are heavily rooted here. One's a senior in high school. We can't just rip them away from that without dealing with the fallout of that. And honestly, I don't want to have to like spend years of our life having to deal with maybe some resentment over that, unless it's just a clear and obvious thing for our family. But if it's just my gut feeling that we need to be somewhere else, that's not enough to sell it. Anyone with a family knows that's probably just not going to go over well. At least if you've been married as long as I have. I have many times lobbied for a move, and everyone says, okay, you can move. So basically it's be a dirtbag, leave my family, but be in a place that maybe is energetically more compatible with who I am, or do the thing I committed to, which is to be there for my family, and be in a place that's less than ideal, and find new ways to find home within myself in that shitty place. Trust me, it's teaching me a lot. So anyway, 45 minutes is about my standard. Going to wrap it up here. I love you all so much. If you have any suggestions for people who can help me find In-N-Out in Southeast Georgia, which I can't eat at because that would destroy my body. You can email me at youhavethekeys, just like it sounds, youhavethekeys at youhavethekeys639 at gmail.com. I forgot the numbers. youhavethekeys639 gmail.com. Send me an email. Tell me if you got someone who you think can help me, or you can send me your well wishes, your concerns. I know the way I talk opens me up for a lot of advice and stuff. And I've been kind of maybe a little bit abrasive about that in the past. I'm fine with advice because it's up to me to filter it out or not. I don't want to be like, don't give me your advice. I know what I need to do. Like, no, you know what? Lay it on me. Why not? What do I got to lose to hear your perspective? So if you think you got some like sage advice for me, why not? I don't have any problem with you sharing it. I apologize again if I was a little prickly about that. I think it was at the time I was feeling like people were feeling burdened to want to help me, and I don't like burdening people with that. Like, I put myself out there in a way where people feel like burdened to share my pain or help me in a way that I think I'm creating like the codependency that I engage in myself in a way. Maybe not. I'm probably wrong about so goddamn much. It really is hysterical how much we're just scratching this. But anyway, yeah, I don't care. Give me your advice. Give me your input. I'm open to all of it. I'm still technically on Instagram at You Are The One You Seek. And with that, thank you for checking out this random episode that is a lie because I said this is the last episode, and that was not true. Even though at the time it felt like it. I think I'll just go ahead and randomly release episodes whenever I feel led to share something, and my hope is it will land with somebody. Anyway, I appreciate you listening, and sorry for the double cross. Told you it was over, and I unintentionally lied about it. So anyway, here I go. All the nice happy things. Be well. I love you all. A goodbye.